Hey guys, welcome back to Red Devil TV. Arsenal 2, Man United 3. Look guys, it was a game of, it was back and forth. Look, listen, if we're honest with it, it could have gone either way. It was a game where, Ronaldo was the difference, Fred was the difference in the second half. And if we're going to be honest, Arsenal could have won that game. Arsenal could have got something out of it. Aubameyang's finishing was poor. Fred done amazingly in the second half. I thought Fred had one of those games where he was dreadful, but he was great at the same time. Of course, you're going to look at the great because we won the game at the end of the day. So look, if we would have drawn that game, or if we would have lost that game, of course we'd be looking and saying, "Wow, Fred had a poor game." But Fred done it very well in the second half, and you see why Fred is going to be a huge part of Ranić's plan in the next few weeks and months. So look. If we're looking at the game, I think there was loads of positives. Definitely a better pressing. We saw, Ronaldo can't press. Ronaldo doesn't track back, all of these things. And what we saw yesterday is, and I've said this in the past, Ronaldo seems to track back and press a lot more in the second half of a game. Now, I have my own opinion about why he does that. And I would say it's because, at that point, especially if it's a close game, he's going to put a lot of that effort into essentially for us to win the game. When we're in the first half and where it's 0-0, it's kind of a feeling out process. But it's also because essentially he doesn't want to waste his energy, right? He doesn't want to waste his energy. But at that point in the second half, when it's 2-2 and it's very close, it can go either way. Of course he's willing to work that much harder for us to win the game. And 3-2, look, a penalty obviously decided it for us. Funnily enough, I feel like Arsenal definitely should have had a penalty. I think it was Maguire who done a foul on Tomiyasu. But look, if we're looking at it, I think a few players that didn't necessarily put a good impression for Ranić. I would say Rashford. I would say, what can I say? I think the fullback's done a great job. I think Telles in that game, if it wasn't for that second goal that we conceded, I think Telles was definitely part of the problem in that second goal, because he was too central and it just allowed for them to cross it, and then Odegaard of course got that goal in. So if Telles would have been able to mark, I forgot what play it was that passed it into Odegaard, but if we would have been able to mark him, that he wouldn't have got that pass on to Odegaard, and it wouldn't have been a goal. But then again, I think Maguire was at fault for that goal as well. I mean, the positioning was terrible, and there was no marking there as well. So look, I thought Telles had a good game. I think Dalot had a fantastic game. And you see the difference between Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. We have these ideas that Wan-Bissaka could get dropped. Now, there's a difference though defensively, as we all know, but I think Dalot definitely has that defensive capacity. I think he definitely needs work. You saw that ball that he put into Rashford for Ronaldo's goal. I mean, that was a beautiful ball. And Dalot, even defensively, he was very strong. Smith Rowe had a hard time. Martinelli had a hard time against Telles. Of course, a few times. But, a few of these fullbacks, it wouldn't be a surprise if they were to have a tough time defensively. So, how am I going to look at it? I'm going to say that it was a good game. Did we deserve it? I think a draw would have been a fair result for both, but I'm really happy with the result. The result was the most important thing. I think second half was a lot better than the first. I thought Fred was a bit shambolic in the first half, to be completely honest with you. I think McTominay was hiding. McTominay didn't do anything in that game. And look, if we're looking at it, so much backward passing. Even in that second half where we played better, there was still a lot of backwards passing, and we've seen this for a very long time now. Under Ranić, that's not gonna happen. It's definitely not gonna happen. And we've got a quick turnaround against Sunday, against Crystal Palace on Sunday. So I'm really excited to see what kind of changes are going to be made, especially because we got young boys middle of next week, and we've already gone through in the Champions League group stage. So interestingly, a few players could be given a chance. I think after that game yesterday, I was talking to a few people, and a few of my friends, we were talking and we said, look, I said I could see Telles being played under Ranić and possibly Dalot as well. I think Dalot had a fantastic game yesterday. I thought Telles had a good game. If it wasn't for that second goal, you could have made it even better, an even better conclusion for the game for Telles. But a few players are going to struggle here, and I think, look, Rashford, I don't know if he's still carrying something with that injury, if he's still trying to get up to speed, but he doesn't look. He's not putting in the effort, first of all. He loses the ball. He doesn't try and get it back. his decision making is not great either. There are times where he needs to pass, and of course we see it with other players, but Rashford, it happens way too often. We've seen it in every single game that he's played, where he's supposed to pass but he chooses to shoot, or he tries to dribble past a player instead of when there's an easy pass to Ronaldo or to Sancho or whatever. So, and he doesn't do that. And I thought Bruno had a good game yesterday as well. Look, again, this is a fresh start now, and this is why it's going to be interesting yesterday. I feel like Rangnick still is going to need weeks and months to see what plays is going to start. Maybe not months, but definitely a few weeks to see what kind of players he wants to play with. He already knows these kind of players. Now, let's talk about Ronaldo. He's definitely going to play Ronaldo for me. He knows, we saw the difference of Ronaldo yesterday. I was getting a bit frustrated with him in the first half because, there were times he was trying to attempt some bicycle kicks, and he was, of course he had one or two poor shots as well. But we were rushing it a bit in that first half because essentially we weren't playing very well. We kept losing the ball. Backwards passing. Arsenal were pressing better than us in the first half. Our pressing definitely got better in the second half. Still not efficiently. There are way too many times where Bruno is pressing too much, and we see that gap there. We see that every time. We see that every single time, and that's why I think this McFred thing. Look, it's gonna go. I don't discount the fact that it could happen. They could play together. But it's not going to be a regular partnership for me. I think Van der Beek is going to be introduced. Come on, we know what's going to happen. So, guys, Rangnick, of course, he done an interview this morning, which at 9 a.m., which was incredibly early, and he mentioned a bunch of things. How Ronaldo was the difference. How he wants to implement control in this team. Of course, that high press. Of course, he said, I'm not going to be able to grab them and get them playing how I want in a few days or weeks. It's going to take some time, and of course we know this already. We kind of knew what he was going to say, and kind of we expect that anyway. We don't expect the players to be playing how he wants in the first few games. So which is well, because we'll be able to experiment in the next few games. And I think under Rangnick we'll be able to win games even if we are still adapting to a system that he's going to implement. So under Oli, we worried because we didn't play any good football, and other teams have systems. We didn't have a system under Oli. Even if we did, it wasn't a good system. Under Rangnick, we know it's going to be a good system. He's definitely going to implement some fantastic players in this team and balance. He talked a lot about balance, and of course, there's a lack of balance in that team with McTominay in the midfield, not good defensively, backwards passing. Of course, Fred can be a liability at times. Of course, Rashford as well. Look, there needs to be a balance, and that's why Greenwood, Rashford and Ronaldo didn't work, because you had Greenwood on the right who was always cutting and not providing enough crosses for Ronaldo, and it's unlike we did yesterday anyway. There were a few crosses from Telles and Dalot, but not enough, and it's still more than Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, but not enough. We need to definitely implement that, and Dalot and Telles have great crossing ability, and they need to implement that, and that's going to be one of the things that I think are going to be worked on, because essentially, depending on the formation, I don't expect Rangnick to straight away go in for that 4-3-2 formation or a very different formation that we're not used to. I do expect him to stick to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 for the first 4 games, because we've got a lot of games that are close to each other. December's a busy period. But at the same time, he might. These are fantastic players, and he's going to have to get them playing how he wants. In terms of fitness levels and stuff, we know, we saw Ronaldo was pressing a lot yesterday in that second half, and he worked really hard. But we saw he was tired at the end of the game. It was a tiring game. There was a lot of running there in that game yesterday. I thought the first half was a bit, but the second half was a lot of hard work, especially from our forward line, except for Rashford, much less. But Sancho and Ronaldo definitely went. They worked very hard yesterday, and Fred did as well. Telles, Dalot, I thought they were very good. And it's going to be telling now. There are some players I could see coming in. I think Telles, Dalot. I don't know if he's going to drop Luke Shaw, but I could see them giving Wan-Bissaka and Shaw a tough time. Telles and Dalot. I can see them. Really putting a shift in these games coming up, because essentially we've got games we could win. We have to win anyway. So let's see what happens. I'm really excited for Sunday. Again, it's going to be a game where we're going to see. I just want to see the starting lineup. I've said this multiple times. I'm excited to see what team is going to go with. It's going to be very telling. So, guys, let me know what you think. The Arsenal game, it was a good win. Nothing too impressive. Better pressing, definitely better. Better output from our fullbacks, because of course Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw had been playing recently in the past few weeks. And of course there was something lacking there. I think Luke Shaw definitely has the ability to do it, but he hasn't been doing it recently. We saw Telles and Dalot get forward very well. They defended very well, which I was very worried before the game. Okay, Carrick is playing both of them, but I'm worried about them defensively. But they were very solid. McFred, we know what's going to happen there. It's definitely not going to stick together for many times anyway. And Ronaldo, Sancho, Rashford, we'll have to see how that goes. And one thing I want to touch upon this as well, why is Sancho playing on the left? 80% of that game he was on the left-hand side, on the left wing. Put him on the right. You know, don't listen. He's played a lot of times for Dortmund on the left, as much as he's done on the right as well. I think it's very close. I saw a stat yesterday. I think it was very close, right? But you know, we bought him on the right. We bought him to be a right winger. And also, one thing I did see a video the other day where I don't remember what channel it was. I would like to shout him out, but it did show how Rashford, his creativity from the right is just slightly more. It's just more than it is on the left. On the left wing, he seems to score more goals. On the right, he seems to create a lot more. And of course, we can see why he is going to cross more from the right wing position. He is going to pass and be able to play that tiki-taka football, especially when you've got the midfielders moving up. If you're playing a Van der Beek, and a Bruno, you are going to see that. Now, when you've got McTominay and Fred, who sometimes are not pushing up, McTominay sometimes is hiding. He usually is not in the game. Yesterday, I forgot he was on the pitch. But on the left, you can see, of course, Sancho is going to cut in and he's going to shoot. It's the same with Rashford, you know. But, you know, I want to see him on the right. We bought him to be on the right. On the left, there's space there that you can have Rashford there. Lingard might be given a chance. Maybe Martial. Martial might step up. So, guys, let me know what you think. I'm excited for that Crystal Palace game. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.